Good evening. Liperile. Dumelang Bahaitsu. Oyenand. So good to have you with us tonight. We have another good and special program for you. You are going to be challenged and blessed tonight. So thank you very much for tuning in. And as always, I'm not alone. I'm flying with my co-pilot, the Honorable Wayne Thring, and I'm going to say hello to you. He's going to say hello to you, and then we'll be hearing from you. We also want to hear your greetings. And thereafter, I'm going to introduce our guest tonight, a very special lady who believes that all things are possible. All things are possible. A fighter, a young fighter, that although she has some disabilities, they don't stop her from achieving her goals and from doing what is on her heart. And I trust that people with many excuses will be challenged and change their opinion towards life, their attitude towards life. Because as believers, we know that the scriptures admonishes us and encourages us that we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. But having said hello to you, I'm now bringing in my co-pilot, Honorable Wayne, to also say and share his greetings, and then we'll take on from there. Welcome to you, sir. Over to you.
Well, thank you, Mr. President, and greetings to you and to the entire ACDP team and ACDP family. The last few weeks, and in fact, the last month in particular, has been a busy month. And President, it's been a busy month because we have elections coming up on the 29th of May. And the vision that God has given to you is a vision for a godly government in South Africa. But not just in South Africa, but our entire continent will experience the blessings of our Lord as we honor him, even in the area of good governance. And so we have been crisscrossing the country. I know that for yourself, President, you've been in many provinces, and I've been in the Northern Cape, Limpopo, the Mpumalanga, KZN, and the Western Cape in particular. And we do so because these are elections that the ACDP must come to government. These are the elections where the ACDP has to put its best foot forward. These are the elections that are so crucial and so pivotal that many of us understand that it may be the last elections in which we have to right the many wrongs over the last 30 years. And so, welcome again. And remember, the ACDP is needed by South Africa. South Africa needs the ACDP, and the ACDP needs you. So welcome and God bless you. President, back to you, sir.
Well, sir, you said something very important that I want and I wish will be imprinted on the minds and hearts of all those who are participating tonight, or those who have tuned in tonight, rather. You said this might be the last elections. Now, one of the reasons this might be the last elections is if we fail to remove the ANC from government. If we fail, then we will have a world order where all our values and our rights will be thrown in the dustbin. Why am I saying that? The World Economic Forum has said that they want a permanent lockdown. Permanent lockdown. With a permanent lockdown, it means we will never go back to normality That is why ACDP members and friends, we must work very, very hard to ensure that we get a godly government. Without that, this country has no future, Africa has no future, and the world is in serious trouble. So let's take the last opportunity we have seriously, so that we'll continue with normality and enjoying our rights. So having said that, we now want to hear from you. Those that want to greet, it is an opportunity to say hello. Who's the first one today? We have Jeanette Moody's say, good evening, my president. We are behind you. We believe this is the year of miracles. God is with us. Something wonderful is going to happen. Sure. You are right, Gina. The Lord bless you. Thank you for believing that. God is going to do an amazing thing this year. DP?
May Prinsloo says, good evening, our wonderful president and DP. It is always a blessed time to spend with you in 14 days' time, President and DP, new godly leaders of South Africa. Amen. We believe with you, May.
Everybody say amen to that. Everybody say amen to that. May Prinsloo again says, godly president of South Africa, Jesus is going to bless the ACDP in a blessed way.
Yeah. Tabang Mushidi, good evening, Mr. President, and God bless. Good evening, Tabang.
YouTube user says, good evening, President NDP. We are living in challenging times in South Africa, but the ACDP has the answers to turn it around. That's Rob Wadey from PE.
Mari Kogil, a very warm welcome to our President and Deputy President. Thank you, Mari.
Maureen Kumalo, all the way from Soweto. Good evening, my Honorable President, Ndademichwe and DP, Mr. Wayne Thring. Tangime Kumalo.
Kaz van der Bijl Met from the South Coast, Port Shepstone says, good evening to our leadership and ACDP family. Greetings from the Mets in Port Shepstone. Good evening, Kaz.
Joy Peterson. Good evening, Mr. President and co-pilot and ACDP family. Shalom, John and Joy in Kapstad, Cape Town. Thank you very much. God bless you guys.
Nora Mali Tinyiko. Evening, Mr. President, Deputy President, and my beloved ACDP family. Great to meet again. Absolutely.
Well, thank you very much for all those wonderful greetings. I'm sure you are all patiently waiting to hear and to see the person we said we are going to introduce to you, our guest tonight. Last week, Tuesday morning, I had a very interesting interview that was conducted by the young lady who is going to appear on the screen not too long from now. She is an inspiration, an encourager, and a motivator for a number of reasons. But I want to read a few portions from her profile to see what kind of the lady she is. Her name is Masingita. Masingita is a Tsonga word for miracle. She is a miracle, and she's given that name, Miracle. Every day, Masingita wakes up to alter the status quo. She does so by just doing and not seeking approval. Through her work, she shares with the world her gift of an unlimited, unconfined attitude to living life. She has a speech impediment since birth, and she is a celebrated talk show host. She lives with a coordination disability, yet she is an active runner. She completed Soweto Marathon in 2019. Imagine 42 kilometers. I have never run 42 kilometers. DP, you'll tell me whether you have ever made that. She is a swimmer and a mountaineer. There are so many things that she supposedly cannot do, yet she has done the impossible. She has driven from Cape to Cairo and summited Kilimanjaro. I'm a driver who has never driven from Cape to Cairo. Now you have this young lady who has done it. Okay, let her come on now, or maybe before she comes on, before you come on, can you put on the screen some of the pictures of where she has been and what she has been doing? All right. Now that's when she was on Kilimanjaro, and mountaineering on the picture on the left. And now she's going to the finishing line. Can you see that red? Whatever. She is running. And can you see the people applauding her? On the left. Okay, on the left, she was shown in a stadium with other sports people. Now, this one looks like where Egypt, ne? There she is on a camel. All right? And the one on the left, it's equator. Yeah, if I see correctly, she was at the equator. Now, she is very adventurous, very adventurous. So I want to bring her on the screen now. And I'm told that there is a slight problem. She's off, but she will come back, no problem. She's off. She likes challenges. And please be patient if you can't hear her well because of her speech impediment. The most important thing that I like with her, she likes challenges. And she likes to challenge the status quo. When people say you cannot do it, you cannot make it, she wants to prove them wrong. And she does it. How many of people with disabilities do we have that have resigned, that are not doing anything in life because they think I can't do anything? Well, if you have any disabled person in the family, tell them, by the grace of God, all things are possible. Whatever desire they have in their hearts, the Lord can give them the grace. The Lord can give them the ability. The Lord can give them the perseverance, because this lady is persevering, that the Lord can do it for you. So all of us, we have giftings from God. And there is no gift from God that should be despised. The Lord loves you, and He has given the best that you can handle. So we are grateful to God for the opportunities that we have. And I pray that those who have challenges, serious challenges, you have many reasons why you can thank God, why you can praise God, why you can live your life to the fullest, as we see this young lady doing, driving from Cape Town to Cairo. That is a challenge I've never had. Masingita, I can see you are back on. Before anything happens again, I want you please to say hello to the people who are watching you and who are looking forward to listen to you. You are a real inspiration. And I want to thank you for being who you are, for refusing to allow limitations to limit you. So please start by telling us where you were born and what happened to you when you were born, because you told me that you learned to fight, to live from the moment of birth. Okay? People didn't give you a chance, but here you are today. So please tell us, Masingita, where were you born? What happened to you? And why did you have to fight as a baby? Mike, I can't hear you. We can't hear you, Masingita. Masingita, maybe close your mic, or close, or get off line and then come back on. And then I hope you'll be okay. Now, her company uses a slogan, above normal, because some people were saying she's abnormal, I'm told. And from the criticism, she's abnormal, she has come up with, she is above normal. She's not abnormal, she is above normal. What an attitude. What an attitude. Rather than just cry and weep and say, hey, people are saying this about me, people are saying abnormal, people are saying I'm disabled, she is proving people wrong. All the people who are saying she's abnormal, she has achieved more than them all. So I wish that all of us that have challenges, we can have this attitude. We can have this attitude. One of the things ACDP is going to do after the elections, we are going to do above normal. There are some people who have been asking me questions. Do you think ACDP will be back in parliament? I say definitely will be back in parliament. So we are going to prove the critics wrong, because we are not saving ourselves in that place. We are saving the King of Glory, who empowers us and who makes it possible for us to do and to perform above normal. Okay, that's a slogan, above normal. That's a company. All right, DP, while we are waiting for her to come back, what are your thoughts about this above normal rather than abnormal?
Well, I think it's a brilliant play on words, President, and it pictures, it's the embodiment of the life that she has lived, having been told almost from birth that one, she is not going to be normal, that she wouldn't be able to live, a so-called normal life. She has proven her critics wrong. And from what you have shown, she has shown that she has done far more than what so-called normal people have been able to do. How many people have been able to drive from Cape to Cairo? How many people have been able to summit Kilimanjaro? That, by the way, is one of my bucket lists. One of the things I would really love to do, and that's to summit Kilimanjaro. But she's done it before me, someone who is considered to be somewhat normal. So I'm just astounded, President, just by reading her resume and what she's achieved in the short space of time, despite her so-called disability. She's turning what others call a disability, she's turning it into that which is positive. That when others say that she can't, she completes a 42K run, a marathon. I would estimate that only some 2% of South Africans, if that, would be able to complete a 42-kilometer race. And she's up there in that 2 to 5% possibly in South Africans. Who in South Africa has been able to summit Mount Kilimanjaro or ride and travel from Cape to Cairo? And so the lady is remarkable. Just even though I have not met her, I am inspired. I'm inspired by her enthusiasm, her zest for life, and her never say die philosophy. And so it's welcome. This is the kind of attitude that we all need to have in South Africa.
Well, I agree with you, sir. And while we are still trying our level best to bring her on, we might have to change our program and have you come on before Dr. Jardine. Okay, and now between now, if you can take your 10 minutes now, because he's going to join us at 8 o'clock, Dr. Jardine Amin, and then we'll see where to slot in Masingita. Her story is remarkable, as you correctly said. We want to hear. Now, she challenged me about Kilimanjaro, and she said, Ref, if you want to go, I will go with you. Okay, now here you are also, you are talking about in your bucket, you still have that wish to summit Kilimanjaro. So it makes two of us, and Masingita want to go with us, okay? It would be wonderful to share an experience that we went to Kilimanjaro with this lady who says she's above normal. Okay, so I am delighted. It was an honor. It was a privilege to meet her. She is just full. She's bubbling. She's bubbling. She's bubbling, jolly, kind, friendly, smiling, laughing all the time. Hey, so good, so good. But DP, to save time, sir, today we are told the president signed the NHI bill. Now, before Dr. Jardine comes, what are the reasons why the ACDP has voted against the NHI bill? Is it because we don't want all the South Africans, the poor South Africans, the not so wealthy South Africans, those who don't have money? Do we, as the ACDP, not want to see them going into private clinics? Because the NHI, they are claiming, the ANC says they are leveling the playing field. They want every South African to walk into any health facility, whether private or public. Is that feasible? Is that possible? How is that going to affect the standard of healthcare in the country? So, DP, it's your opportunity, sir, to inform our friends so that when they are challenged, why is the ACDP against this? That our people will be able to intelligently give them the reason why.
Well, thank you, President. So let me indicate firstly that I appreciate the opportunity to speak. The ACDP on the NHI, as you correctly indicated, the ACDP has voted against this particular bill when it was presented in Parliament, but the ruling party, the ANC, utilized their majority to force it through. Despite the fact that even the Medical Health Association of South Africa indicated that it needs to be withdrawn. Now, I also want to put a disclaimer that my sources that I'm going to be sharing from are from Dr. Laurice Prinsen, who was a senior lecturer in the Department of Public Law at the University of the Free State, as well as an article from the Daily Maverick where Michael Setis, who was a member of the Free Market Foundation's Health Policy Unit, put forward an opinion piece. Now, when we look at the NHI, it is based on the premise of a provision of universal access to healthcare, which has long been envisioned by our Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, and also by the National Health Act, which
okay, DP?
preamble. Yes, sir.
DP, my apology, sir. My apology. Since she managed to reconnect, can we allow her to have her share while we have her online? Yeah, sure. Let's have her online so that whatever happens, the little that we shall have heard and being inspired one more time shall have happened. Okay. Masingita, welcome back. The floor is yours now. I'm not going to say too much. My question was, what happened to you at birth? Why? You see, why did doctors think you are not going to live a normal life? Go for it, Masingita.
Okay, audible now.
Yes, you are audible. Yes, you are. Go ahead. Go ahead, you're audible. Go ahead. And sounds like there's another challenge there. We will persevere. All right, she's off again. Well, sir, please be patient. It's going to be in and out. If she comes back on, I'm going to ask you to kindly allow her to come in again. And I'm hoping that this will be the last time. Once we have her back, it will be now until she finishes her story. Masingita, I see you are back on. Can you hear me? Masingita, can you hear me? Please unmute. No, but she doesn't respond. Can you hear me? All right. Back to DP. Oh, now she's talking now. Let's hear. Unmute and talk. All right. Now, obviously, if it does not work tonight, we'll have a back next week. And in the meantime, we'll try to find out what really happened. Why was it so difficult for her to connect? And if necessary, we'll bring her to a place we know she'll have proper connection. We definitely must hear her story. If it doesn't work tonight, we'll find a better place for her next week. All right. Okay, now she's smiling. One more time. If it does not work, then it will be next week. Can you hear me, Masengita? Can you hear me? This is not her day. This is not her day. Okay, DP, sorry for that, sir. Please continue. Meneer, plus a brief.
Geen probleem, meneer die president. It possibly also could be that I had these struggles yesterday. The internet system in South Africa was a real challenge with some cables that were broken apparently on the East Coast seaboard. So there could be just a challenge also just in terms of connectivity because of the challenges that we're having in South Africa, the different service providers. But President, coming back to the NHI, yes, the President has ceded to actually signing this particular bill, which
Yeah. Well, friends, we have challenges tonight. The devil is a liar. We will get on with our business. The DP, since he said hello, and then became quiet. But we're going to have him back on very soon. And the National Health Insurance Bill, that's NHI bill, the National Health Insurance Bill, that doctors are fighting. Health insurance companies are fighting. Members of parliament who are informed, such as the ACDP and the others, are fighting. They say, this is not real. This is not realistic. Because to give free services, you need plenty of money. For everybody to get everything free, you need plenty of money. Now, in South Africa, the people who pay tax are in the region of 10% only. How can 10% of taxpayers be able to fund health care for millions, almost 60 million people? How is that possible? Where is the money going to come from? Our people must be made to understand. You cannot celebrate the fact that you are told everything is free, it's free, it's free. The fact is there is nothing for mahala. Who pays for that free thing? How many South Africans are paying tax? If you go to Oriental Plaza, there's a lot of money there. How many of them are paying tax? You go to the spaza shops. This money is going out of the country. It's going out of the country. Who is going to pay for this? And the sad thing is that these people who have come from whatever, Pakistan or whatever, who are making money and not paying tax, when they need medication, when they need medical attention, they will go to a hospital and demand things free. Now the question, who's going to pay for that? Who's going to pay for that? So I pray that our people will be so well informed that they will not just celebrate when they hear mahala, mahala, free, free, free. The fact is, right now, we have doctors who are not employed, graduates who are not employed, and we are told there is no money to pay for them. So if there is no money to pay for them, where are we going to get the money to pay for all these free things? So people must not be deceived. Some people are saying this NHI bill is being signed as an election ploy for election purposes, that people will vote for the ANC saying, hi, everything mahala, mahala, everything mahala, food parcels mahala, health mahala. You can go to any hospital, you can go to any private clinic. Hey, it's not going to work. It's not on. They have lied to you. So DP, tell us even countries that we know of that are struggling, and doctors. I mean, a country like Canada, the doctors are leaving, go to places where healthcare is not collapsing but improving. All right? People are leaving to other countries. So there's a movement. This free mahala thing is causing people to settle down for mediocre treatment and mediocre services, because people are forgetting nothing for mahala. You run out of money. You cannot, 10% cannot pay free services for 90%. Impossible. So DP, please go carry on, sir.
Thank you, President. All right. So hopefully we'll be able to stay connected with the time that we have. President, let me just move on. You know, there was a health market inquiry into how to actually transform particularly the health services in South Africa, which includes dealing with the private sector. But it seems as if government has actually ignored the recommendations of the health market inquiry. Much like with the high panel level inquiry on land by Kgalemo Motlanthe, government has taken the recommendations and put them into file 13. And so there is a health market inquiry which makes it possible for both the public and the private sector healthcare care sectors to actually work in parallel and in tandem with each other rather than opposed to each other. What government is basically doing is saying that why should you have 16% of citizens enjoying a public health benefit where they are paying for medical aid? Why should 16% who are paying for their medical aid only have access to quality health care when 84% are struggling? Well, the question is, why are the 84% struggling? The 16% utilize the same, the budget for the 16% is the same as the budget for the 84%. But they also refuse to mention that the budget for the 16% is paid for by private individuals. And in addition, those private individuals are also contributing to the 84%. So the almost 300 billion rand budget for health is paid for by the individuals of South Africa. Many of them struggle to actually pay in order to keep their medical aids and to keep their families healthy. But this shouldn't be about, and this is what the government wants to do. It creates an us-them scenario. You know, why should they have this when we don't have this? The question is, the money is there. The challenge is the money is there. You have almost 300 billion rand. 300 billion rand. Now, when one looks at that 300 billion rand, South Africa is at the top per capita in terms of per capita spent on health, South Africa is right at the top of many of your developing nations. And in fact, even beats some of our developing nations with regards to the amount of money that we spend on health. The problem is the quality of health. And the reason why the quality of health has declined despite our per capita spend is because of maladministration, is because of corruption, is because of ineptitude, is because we have the wrong administrators over our healthcare system. And so these are the primary reasons, despite the fact that there is sufficient resources to improve our public healthcare system. Sufficient resources exist. But the challenge that we have is that we have the wrong individuals. And this speaks to good governance. Good governance is about the implementation of policies, good policies. But there's a failure by government to actually introduce those good policies. As a result, malpractice liability in South Africa has breached 100 billion rand, whereas just 4 years earlier, that's in 2019. And so 2015, it was 28 billion rand. So now malpractice, because of some of the incompetencies and people being harmed in hospitals and dying, sadly, in our public hospitals, we have a malpractice liability bill of over 100 billion rand. And so this astronomical wastage is as a result of the inept management of the public health system. Government currently is not even able to keep its own health compliance standards, which they say they've piloted, and they said these are the health standards that we want to introduce in the NHI, and they have failed. They have failed to introduce the last office of the health standards compliance audit that was done of our 700 public facilities. 700. 99% of these 700 public health facilities were non-compliant in terms of they failed government's own health standard compliance test. 99% of them failed. More than a quarter of the facilities were classified as critically non-compliant. So that's some a quarter. That's some 25% non-compliant. They had a score of only 40% in terms of the health compliance, and a total of 85% scoring less than 60%. Sounds much like within our education system. But here we see government failing even to comply with their own health standards compliance criteria that have been set. Now, if I just quickly, President, want to just go through some of the challenges why the ACDP voted against the NHI. Number one, it will be a blow to the autonomy of all South Africans. In terms of Chapter 27 of our Constitution, the Bill of Rights, you have the freedom of choice to choose your healthcare system, and your freedom to choose will be taken away from you. So it will be a blow to the autonomy of all South Africans, as we will be forced to make use of NHI, regardless of whether we want it or not. Secondly, the healthy will be paying for the sick, and there will be an increased burden on taxpayers. Currently, we have some 3 million South Africans who contribute 90% of our tax revenue. So the tax base is somewhere in the region of about 5 to 6 million, 6 million people. That's kind of the number of people that are paying tax. But only 3 million of those contribute 90% of the revenue. And the tax base is actually shrinking. And the reason why our tax base is shrinking, because of, again, failed government policies. The third reason, so what we will find is the few will be paying for the more. And remember that we have some 28 million South Africans who are receiving one kind of grant or the other. And it's not something to sing about. It's not something to say that this is laudable, because what we're creating is a nanny state. The more people we can get off your grant status, the better. The social welfare status, the better. The third reason why we voted against the NHI is the uncertainty and the vagueness surrounding the financial aspects. There is no clarity in terms of how much is this going to cost. So that some 300 billion rand that I spoke about that currently is the budget for our current healthcare system. That 300 billion rand will then go into the NHI pot. And then how it's going to be dispersed. So here's the other thing. The Minister of Health will have sole discretion. So despite the fact that there's the vagueness in terms of how the finances are going to apply, how the Minister of Finance has sole responsibility to determine who the accreditors, who your procurement individuals are, has the sole discretion in terms of the number of doctors per patient and so on, as well as handling that 300 billion, current 300 billion, plus the extra taxed money from South Africans, money that will be taxed, South Africans that will be taxed in order to contribute to the NHI. South Africans are already almost taxed to the limit. You have your income tax, you have your fuel levy, which is another tax, you have value added tax, you have taxes on the toll roads. This will now be another tax that our already shrinking tax base will have to take care of. And then maybe, President, to conclude, unemployment, we could see unemployment rising because your medical aid companies who employ individuals will have to shut down because what the NH system provides, the private healthcare system will not be able to. The NHI refuses them to provide what the NHI actually provides. And then we also believe that our medical practitioners will be leaving in droves, seeking greener pastures where they don't have to work under these onerous, socialist, communistic conditions. Thank you, President.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir. We have a medical doctor, member of the ACDP, Dr. Jardine, who will be coming on in 3 minutes' time. Let me read a few comments from maybe 3 or 5, some of what you have been saying about NHI, those that are involved. All right, we have John Murray, who's saying the NHI Act is going to plunge our country into an enormous crisis. We have already lost huge numbers of doctors and nurses who have left the country only for this reason. Okay, and then we have Totliso Mputi, who says, NHI goes hand in hand with the New World Order. One health system, one religion, etc. It cannot be good for us. It cannot be good for us. And then we have Nico Johnson, who says, thank goodness for the ACDP and fighting the Bella Bill. NHI is already passed. The government does not listen to the people. Very true. They don't listen. Okay, I'm going to read the last one. And then Siseko Mdlokolo, he says, corruption has killed the healthcare system. Very true. The same will be perpetuated with NHI. All right, having said that and having read your comments, thank you very much for participating. Now, Dr. Jardine, you are going to tell us now about people, among others, people who are living countries such as Canada. Okay, why are they living? Where are they going to? Why is this NHI not good for us? One of the important things that the DP raised, which is true, is that it's going to rob us of our right to choose. The freedom of choice is going to be taken off from us, taken away. Now, ACDP obviously can do something, Remember, with the vaccine, they were introducing mandatory vaccines, and they were saying everybody must be vaccinated. And the president had to stop because we challenged him and said, Mr. President, you can't take our right to choose. So this also is going to take our right to choose, but it's not yet late to do something, for God to intervene, for ACDP to do something. We are definitely going to oppose this thing. It must not see the light of day. But having said that, Dr. Jardine, welcome, sir, and tell us, why is this NHI a bad idea? Okay, Dr. Jardine, wait a minute. Wait a minute, Dr. Jardine. We can't hear you. Wait a minute. All right. Dr. Jardine, can you hear me? All right. While we are waiting for him to be reconnected, I'll be reading for your comments again. We have Breeze Spice. Breeze Spice, who says, in 2009, Bill Gates sold NHI idea to ANC, and tomorrow President Ramaphosa is eventually going to sign it into law. First, it was untested vaccines, mandatory. Now is NHI also mandatory. It is very sad, that the president of South Africa is getting instructions from outside the country. In 2009, it was Bill Gates who sold this idea to him. And because they are obsessed with the New World Order and with denying us the rights to choose, they are pursuing what they know is going to destroy our healthcare system in South Africa. So let's hear from others again while we are waiting for Dr. Jardine. And Manabeng Walter Mashilo says, NHI is part of New World Order project. It was initiated by Bill Gates here. ANC leaders don't know what they are doing. It's even failing. This NHI is even failing in countries that they have it. Why must we make sure ACDP get more than 10 seats? Oh, no, not 10, not 10, not 10. Much more than 10, much more. Our goal, the reason we are so motivated to work hard, we want a godly government in South Africa. Bill Gates and Tade Ramaphosa, President Ramaphosa, and their friends, George Soros and the others, have to know that ACDP is here to obey the God who cares for the needs of the people. We care for them. So, Dr. Jardine, let's try again, sir.
Good evening, sir. Can you hear me now?
That's right. That's good. Now we can hear you, sir.
Fantastic. Good evening, Mr. President. Good evening, DP. Thanks for having me on board today. You've got to hold me back because I've got so much to say. Can I start from the beginning?
Yeah. Can I say before you start, if we run out of time, we'll continue next week. If we run out of time, okay? But for now, it looks like you only have 10 minutes, and then we have to stop after 10 minutes. We'll continue next week.
Okay.
So, go for it.
I think this will be the final nail in the coffin of the ANC. They have proved time and again they do not listen to the populace. Now, healthcare does not start with medical aids and hospitals. Healthcare starts with clean water and electricity. When they had an outbreak in Soshanguve, they could not boil the water because no electricity. How do you sterilize your instruments? How do you have clean water? And the next thing is, before we even talk about medical aids and that sort of thing, the simple solution is when you want to try to budget for something, either you decrease your expenses or you increase your income. Okay? So how do we increase our income? Is we have to make the country safe. We have to bring back safety and security, which is what our logo is: safe, order, safety, order, and service. So you bring back safety and security, and get rid of BEE, because that is the devil in the whole thing here. Because BEE has bred a whole lot of corruption, and only a handful of people who are getting a benefiting from this, and most of the population are remaining poor. Okay, so that's the first thing. Second thing is you've got to regenerate and re-establish the government hospitals first. Bring back the standards that we had. We have to increase the training of the nurses, training of the doctors, increase the quality of the training, bring back the nursing training college so we can have quality staff looking after the patients, and upgrade the facilities that we had. Now, if you look at the current debt, what South Africa owes, and I encourage everybody, please go and visit South Africa Debt Clock at commodities.com. 2019, it was almost just over 3 trillion rand. Now it's gone up to about 4.3 trillion rand. How are we going to ever pay that? With what money are we going to do this? Okay. So how are we going to decrease we already owe that. It's about 200 billion rand in interest every year. How are we going to pay that back? The other thing is, if they can increase the quality of the services, they will have less malpractice suits against the government hospitals. It runs into billions of rands. Now that billions of rand could go back to upgrading the equipment, upgrading the facilities, and pay the doctors as well. There are at the moment 500 doctors that are out of work. It's a damn shame. And now, if you look at 500 doctors that are out of work for 1 year, it's 500 years of life wasted, 500 years of service wasted. Are they up there listening to me, listening to us? Okay, so we got to find a way to decrease expenses in that way and stop teaching the children nonsense like the transgender and all the hormonal treatments and all that. That is unnecessary strain onto the healthcare system. So if you can get rid of the tenderpreneurs, and I'm calling them the damn tenderpreneurs, because you know the prices that they supplied to the government is well overinflated by hundreds of times. And then every rand that they've taken over the profit margin that they're supposed to be making, and I do not deny anyone making a profit. Please make a profit, because that's how business thrives. But do not gouge the prices like you're doing to the government hospitals because you can, because you're the tenderpreneur and you know you're going to get paid. Because every rand that you have stolen out of the system over and above your rightful, your right to make a profit is a rand that you have stolen from the patients who need the healthcare the most. I get so angry when I think of this. So the tenderpreneurs must go. So there we cut down on expenses. And how do we increase our income? We increase the safety and security, make sure the country is safe. So people will come and invest in the nation, and then we'll create more jobs, because then we'll have more taxpayers. And with more taxpayers, then we can even then we can start maybe thinking about healthcare. And I'm coming to Canada now. At the moment, our taxpayers are already taxed to the hilt. Each one is carrying 2 people on social grants. How much more can we be taxed? It's going to break the back of the camel. And Mr. Ramaphosa, I'm telling you now, you are not using my profession as your political football. I'm telling you now. And the thing is, if you sign the bill, I'm going to dare you. I'm going to challenge you now. You got to listen to your own law and go and use the government hospitals that you signed the law into. I'm going to challenge you that, okay? So coming back to national healthcare, and I'm giving you some examples where first world countries are struggling with national healthcare with a higher tax base. And now we only got about less than 10% taxable people paying taxes. How are we going to survive? I worked in Canada for 4 years. Okay, I was in the health system, and I'll give you my own example now. I slipped and fell. In short, I slipped and fell and tore my rotator cuff. If I had to be dependent on the NHI, I would have had to wait 6 to 9 months just for the MRI scan. Never mind the procedure. Okay, because it happened in theatre, I was covered by their workman's compensation equivalent, WorkSafe BC. I could fly the next day to Vancouver from a little town called Terrace, fly to Vancouver, have the MRI done, fly to Prince George and have the surgery done, and guess what, by a South African surgeon. Then I had to take off 3 months to allow my to have healing and physiotherapy, and that was paid by WorkSafe BC, not by the NHI. So a lot of the Canadians have to go to Mexico to have the procedures done because they cannot wait the time period that's going to wait. At the moment, the wait list is so long already. I worked at Baragwanath Hospital, when just for a tonsillectomy, you have to wait for a year because the cancer surgeries took preference. And there's an incredible amount of cancer surgery that needed to be done at the time. So now, with what's happening at the government hospitals, the wait list is just going to get longer and longer and longer. Many Canadians now, if you search on YouTube, Canadians and expats are leaving Canada. Whoever was leaving, the big reason is that the cost of living has gone up too high. But one of the big reasons that a lot of them say is that the access to healthcare is limited. Okay, now in NHI, the hospital care is taken care of, but your medication outside is not taken care of. Your dental care is not taken care of. Your other ancillary services like physiotherapy and some are not taken care of. So it's not totally free. You still got to pay for something. And just remember, the funders who are going to pay out the money are always the ones who are going to hold back the funding. They will not want to pay. You look at the insurance, look at the medical aids. It's going to be the same thing. So now to me, they are eyeing the honeypot of funding that's in the medical aids so they can steal more funding out of there, and they're going to be looting that funding, and that's going to crash the whole system. It's going to crash the whole system. England is the same thing. Some of the patients who needed a procedure pass away before the procedure date can be given to them. Taiwan has got probably 80-90% taxpayers. They're also under stress. So the fact is, anything that is guaranteed payment will create severe stress, and there will be people abusing the system. In Canada, the people come to casualty because it's open 24/7. They have come there with small little issues and create strain with the numbers, taking the numbers that are straining the emergency system there. So if the first world countries with 60-70% taxpayers cannot maintain a national health, how can we as 10% taxpayers carry the 90%, carrying two people already on our backs with the social grants? I ask with tears in my eyes. How are they going to do that? Now, one of the ways we can do is if we can use the sin taxes like tobacco, alcohol, and take those taxes to help fund the healthcare, then we can start having some funding for healthcare. Then we can start thinking of it. And unless we get enough taxpayers, enough people working, we create more investments in here, this is going to be a nightmare. It's a good dream, but I can promise you now it's going to turn into a nightmare. And a lot of doctors are going to leave, including myself. Thank you, Mr. President. I don't know if I got into the time. Did I say enough? Or I'm really, really miffed about this whole thing. And I challenge Mr. Ramaphosa. If you sign that into the bill, you have to commit to your own law, and you must use the government hospitals yourself. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. We have run out of time, but let me just read about 2 or 3 comments. Okay. Palesa Yates. She says, my brother from the UK comes to South Africa for some medical procedures instead of using their NHI.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the wait list is too long.
Imagine NHI, they have it in the UK. Somebody leaves it to come to South Africa for medical procedures. So this must tell you that there is something wrong with this NHI, that people would leave the UK to come to South Africa. Who
Are
is
there patients
who?
coming from UK as well? Yes, sir. I have a patient coming from UK too.
Other patients are also doing the same thing, coming from other countries to South Africa, because South Africa is becoming the big brother and the Father Christmas to the rest of the world. This can't go on this way, definitely. And then you have Diana Lass, who says, Australia is just as bad. Like the UK, like Canada, we are hearing, they say Australia is just as bad. Now, if Australia does not make it, if Canada does not make it, and the UK's patients come to South Africa, because we still have private clinics and hospitals, how are we going to make it in South Africa with so many people on being taxpayers? So somebody is being fooled. Wool is being put around some people's eyes. Let us
100%.
Open the eyes of South Africans. Okay?
And the thing is, if I may add on here, sir.
Okay.
If I may add on, if we allow this NHI to take place, as you mentioned earlier, we're going to lose our sovereignty, and they're going to sign us over to the World Health Organization, and we will have to bow to the tyranny of the World Health Organization. And if they say jump, we've got to ask how high. So you're going to take a jab, you can say how many, jab me here and there and there as well. So we've got to lose our sovereignty if we allow this to happen. And they will sell us out to the World Health Organization. So it's vital that everybody now en masse vote for the ACDP.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. Everybody en masse must vote for the ACDP because we believe in the sovereignty of nations. We believe in the individual rights that we want protected, and we are not going to subscribe to what these guys are saying. And if they go ahead, we are going to court, to a constitutional court, among others, because our right to choose is being undermined, and we are going to ensure that this law, if it's passed, does not see the day of light. All right. Having said that, I want to say thank you very much for being with us tonight. We are going to take this matter further next week, and then we are going to have also Masingita with us again next week. She will be in a place where she will be able to communicate with us without hassles with connectivity. So from my side, I'm saying the Lord bless you. Thank you for tuning in. And DP, from your side, say we have run out of time. Say throw your last shot. Say.
Well, again, President, let me say that South Africa needs the ACDP, and the ACDP needs you to overturn this NHI bill. Thank you and good night.
Nobody must confuse you. You are in the right political party. The ACDP has done much. The ACDP will do much. The ACDP has men and women who are brave and courageous, like Masingita, who will go against the flow, who will say, this is not realistic. We want our people to get the best, but to get the best, people must be encouraged to work with their hands, okay? And not just expect Father Christmas to provide everything. The nanny state, ACDP does not want. We want a prosperous state where men and women and young people will have jobs, and will ensure that that happens. The Lord bless you. Good night. Till next week again. Be blessed and continue being a blessing to many other people out there.